On me is for his kids. Looking for the Holy One solely. Most High made you a weapon. That's right. Most High made you a weapon. Most High made you a weapon. Most High made you a weapon. Father, put blessing on me is for his kids. Looking for the Holy One solely. This is where your flow stops, seesaw. Together, watch me. Most High made you a weapon. What's going on? What's going on, family? It's DivineProspect, Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. This is a Thursday night pop-up session, which means it's not an official live. You know, it's been a while. I didn't go live this past weekend, so I decided to creep on out tonight and go live while I'm building and doing a couple other things, and just engage y'all for a little bit. You know, for tomorrow night is our regular Freestyle Friday. So we're going to do our Freestyle Friday show like we normally do. But this is just a late night pop-up session. Don't want to be on here long. Y'all know I say that a lot, but I'm serious. I don't want to be on here long. Just came to check in with those of you who are up. I didn't even promote tonight's live stream because, again, it's just a pop-up session. It's like you just got to catch me at the right time. Y'all just happen to be here so we can build. You know what I'm saying? But for everybody else, they'll see me tomorrow night. Well, tonight. Today's Friday. Tonight and over the weekend as I go live. All right. So let me give a couple updates. So over the next couple of months, I'm going to be picking up some additional work contracts so I could bring in some more revenue. So that way I can invest more on the content of this channel, as well as the content that we're putting out on Patreon, and as well as being able to funnel more funds into the ministry so we can get more done. We can produce more programs, produce more services for the community, and be able to hire experts to come in and assist with that. I was trying to keep everything in-house, and I still plan on using what we have in-house, but at the same time, I think things will work more expeditiously, my TI voice, if we are hiring more professionals and experts in the field to come out and assist. All right, give me 1 second. All right. So just for tonight, just came to give you a little bit of updates. Also, the KHM Mixtape Volume 3, it's called The Truth Works. Mixtape Volume 3 is out. You can click the link in the description to get access to it. We did a premiere. I think it was yesterday. We did a premiere. Either Wednesday or Tuesday, we did a premiere on the channel. So you can get a sample of what some of those songs sound like. It's about 35 second sample of each song. And if you want the actual entire full access to the entire album, you can click the link, give a donation, and we can go ahead and send it to you. All right. So we have a couple more that we have to send out based on people who finish paying for it, or donating towards it, not paying for it. It's technically not for sale. We're just, raising donations that goes towards our music group. So those who have already done that will complete all of those requests by the end of the evening. All right. If you do not have the mixtape, you need to get it ASAP. But if you have Patreon, you can get access to it at no additional cost, no donations needed. We give you straight access to it on our Patreon because of our Patreon supporters and our members that we were able to have the budget to actually release the mixtape, right? So we appreciate everybody who has financially given to the ministry so we can get these projects done, and we have tons more to come. This is just one of many that we're actually working on, okay? Now, with that being said, let me give a couple of shout outs. And I'm not anticipating a big crowd tonight, and that's cool. Again, like I said, this is just a pop-up session for those of you who just will happen to be awake. Some of you are probably going to go to work in the morning, so that's why I said I don't want to stay on too long. But I want to say shout out to Joshua Armstrong, Taylor Nash, Jasling Berry, Shalom. Chosen One says, do you agree with Dr. Ron Dalton on moving back to Africa? I didn't know Ron Dalton was a doctor. Didn't know that. Do you have a post or something or a video that says that he's a doctor? I would love to see that so I can congratulate the brother. and show my support. I did not know he was a doctor. So Chosen One, please, if you can post something in the chat or send an email to kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Let me know about this doctorate that Ron Dalton has. I didn't know anything about it. But I mean, if he wants to move to Africa, I don't see anything wrong with that. That's his decision. If that's what he feels is best for him and his family. I mean, you're not going to escape anything by going to Africa. I mean, more than half of the African nations are in bed with a European nation. You know what I'm saying? Or they're working with China or some other group. So, I mean, you're not escaping anything. If anything, there may be a delay before things actually get to you in regards to what's going to happen. But, I mean, you're not safe anywhere. Anybody can be accessed anywhere on the planet. Going to Africa, you're not hiding from nobody. If the system wants to get you, they're going to get you. The only advantage you have is if Yah intervenes divinely and prevents that from happening, which he said he will do in the end times, right? So that doesn't matter where you're at. If you're here, if you're in Africa, if you're anywhere else, you know, it's the Most High's job to regather us. And it's his job while we're in our wilderness state, meaning that when we are not settled somewhere or situated somewhere permanently, that he will provide us the protection in the wilderness, quote unquote, until he's able to redeem us. All right, shout out to Stephanie Joseph in the building, my brother Get Wise, Yeti, Hebrew Dre in the building, shalom, Nina Bina, shalom to you as well, Angie, love Yah, shalom, T, shalom, Gavin Miller, shalom, Joe, shalom, Jacob, wake up, shalom, Benny, Wheat, shalom. Benny says he's a doctor's assistant. Oh, well, I knew that. I didn't know he was a doctor himself. That's what the Chosen One said. So I just wanted to see, because I might have missed something. Shout out to Deborah Newsom, shalom. Roe the chef, shalom. Donnell Jones, shalom. Yawasop, son of light, shalom. Jacolia's gem, shalom, sis. Mother Sandra Curie in the building, shalom. Rylon T, shalom. Zephon Yahu Yisrael, shalom. Jeremiah Owusu Koramoa, shalom. Gathering of Israelite Nation, shalom. HaKodesh MGMT, shalom. Sister E in the building, shalom. Shalom. Gathering Israelite Nation says, I emailed you, bro, DP. DP, where these classes at, DP? I love y'all. Y'all not gonna let me get away without putting out these classes soon. And I love that energy. Keep it up because it keeps me inspired so I don't get off track. But like I said, there's a lot going on, you know, especially behind the scenes with ministry and now picking up new work contracts and, you know, taking care of the family. I just visited my aunt in the hospice. I think it was Wednesday. We had an appointment to go see my aunt. So that's my father's aunt, which would be my grand aunt technically. She's in hospice. So, you know, I'm glad that I got to see her. It's been a while since I physically saw her because of the COVID situation. And she happened to be in a hospice because of cancer, you know. I did my best for 2 years when we found out she was diagnosed to kind of, Yeti Hebrew Dre says he's been waiting for the classes since he was born. You're funny, man. But you know, I've been trying to get to her before she got into the hospice situation. And, you know, she kept putting it off for almost 2 years. And now there's really not much I can do for her at this point, you know. But encourage her. You know, she told me that she wished she would have listened to me because the chemo did not help her. The radiation did not help her. You know, and the tumor she had was too big for surgery. I'm trying to think if she had surgery. I'm not sure. But all the things that allopathic medicine attempted to do made everything worse. Same thing happened to my father's sister, which is my aunt. I've been trying to work with her for 1.5 years and everything got pushed aside and she's no longer here with us. You know, now my grandmother, which is my dad's mother. So my dad's sister died of cancer. My dad's aunt right now is in hospice because of cancer. My dad's mother, she had cancer twice in the past. And now it is coming up again. And she has to get surgery on today, Friday. She has to get surgery. She needs 3 weeks of recovery. And then she has to get radiation. And you know what I did? I did a family intervention because I had to talk to my grandmother and said, look, I've been telling you for a while as well I would love to step in and help and assist, you know what I'm saying? So you can be healthier. She's like, oh, no, I'll be okay. I'll be recovered. I'm like, yo, you're your 80s. Recovery is not going to happen just like that. You know what I'm saying? And then, oh, check it out. So my dad's sister died of cancer. His younger sister died of cancer. My dad's uncle died of cancer. My dad's aunt, now mind you, my dad's aunt and my dad's uncle are brother and sister, died of cancer, is in a hospice now because of cancer. And my dad's mother, she currently has cancer. She's getting surgery today. So that's my dad's sister, his uncle, his aunt, and his mother. And now his uncle, I didn't really get a chance to talk to him about that. That was some time ago. But his sister and his aunt and now his mother, I'm trying to get them to pay attention. I'm trying to get them to listen because I want to assist. But I mean, I don't know what else to do. You know what I'm saying? You can bring a horse to the water, can't make it drink. You know, it's up to them on how thirsty they are to understand how to better themselves. Sometimes some people get to a point where they just give up, you know, and they just say whatever. But, you know, and again, I'm not here saying that doctors don't know what they're talking about, but you got to understand a doctor follows a business model, right? Your primary care physician, his job is not to cure anything for you. All right. The best cure you could probably get is an antibiotic. You know what I'm saying? An antibiotic is not even a cure. Antibiotic just kills microbes, more particularly bacteria, because antibiotics don't work on viruses, right? So that's all it does. But that's not going to prevent you from getting infected again, right? That you have to strengthen your immune system so you can reduce the amount of infections that you are susceptible to, right? But even my aunt, you know, the one's in hospice right now, she has diabetes, she had hypertension and all of that. And I was doing my best to try and assist, you know what I'm saying? So I told my grandmother, I'm like, yo, you don't think it's weird that everybody, now my grandmother's aunts died of cancer. My grandmother's parents died of cancer. It's crazy. My grandmother's older sister, her husband died of cancer. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, whoa, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I said, look, that can't go past me. You feel what I'm saying? Like that cannot go past me. I'm stopping it right here. You know, my mom, on the other hand, is extremely healthy because me and my mom talk. So my mom takes initiative and she's proactive in regards to health. My dad, he's been doing it later on in life, but my dad was a smoker for years. And just by the grace of the Most High, he escaped from getting lung cancer. You know what I'm saying? But when you understand how cancer works, it's like sometimes you have a person that smokes all their life and never get cancer. And somebody that smokes, they stop smoking and eventually develop lung cancer. It's very interesting how that occurs. But when you study cancer, you know why that happens, right? It's not a mystery. It's not a secret. You kind of know why that happens. And everybody's body is different. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, when you get to the point where, you know, you should not wait to the last minute. If somebody's offering help, and I said, look, I'll pay for all the expenses that it will take for me to help get you whole again, right? Whatever the cost, I'm willing to help, right? And I'm like, once the doctors tell you there's nothing more they can do, I said, please don't wait till you get to the point where doctors tell you there's nothing more they can do. I said, you still have to be proactive now, no matter what the doctors say or what the doctors do, you know, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is. So it's interesting because when I did my intervention with my family, when I went to go see them on Monday, it was very good. However, we had maybe about 10 people was invited to come and only 4 showed up. So 6 major people in the family just did not show up. Everybody's grown. They have their own responsibilities, their own priorities. But I said, look, I want to call a family meeting so we can sit down and just talk as a family. You know, what is our emergency plans when somebody gets sick or when there's a financial crisis or if somebody gets put out their house or if this happened, if that happened, if somebody gets locked up or goes to jail, you know, what is our contingency plan? You know, what do we have to bail that person out? What can we do to kind of help rehabilitate that person? You know, what if somebody needs a job? You know, can we provide employment as a family? What kind of property do we have in our family's name in the immediate and extended family that can be passed on as an inheritance and not taken over by a bank or the government? You know what I'm saying? Like we need to talk about these things. You know what I'm saying? So these are things that we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Tone 76 says, sorry to hear about your relative. My mom was diagnosed with cancer. A tumor was found on her stomach. Any advice or tips? Yes. So if you're interested in starting off on learning about cancer and what you can do to help your mom, I did a whole lecture on it, right? I'm gonna go ahead and send you the link, put it in the chat, because I don't know if any of my mods are here today. because I didn't tell nobody I was going live. So my mods probably don't even know I'm live right now. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share it with you. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, okay. Let me change that. My speakers. There we go. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. And just take a look at it, and it should give you more than enough information. It's over 2 hours long. Everything you need to know about cancer is in there. All right. And what you can start doing proactively to overcome it. All right. Yvette Rivera, I agree. So Gwen Lucas says, did you read Old Testament theology for Christians in its entirety? Yes, I have. Why? Do you have a question or something about the book? If so, let me know. What page, what theme, what motif, what ideology, what theological perspective. Let me know what questions, inquiries you have about it, and we can go into it. But that book is for Christians, right? But the objective of it is to interest Christians in reading the Old Testament and understanding the theology of the Old Testament. It's called systematic theology. So they pretty much find a way to translate systematic theology of just the Tanakh to people who are Christians. And then there's follow-up books that I've shared on Patreon where it makes a connection, or it closes the gap between what we call the Old Testament and the New Testament, right? Shout out to my brother Daryl Yahu Ben Dora in the building. Shalom. We should be able to duplicate Dr. Rife machine that used the 11 harmonics and a powerful microphone to destroy diseases with frequency these days. Lawrence Jones, that's going to be very difficult to do, being as that there's not a lot of funding to go into that type of technology and research, right? Because the pharmaceutical companies have a monopoly on research funding. And if it's for something outside of synthetic prescription medication, it's going to be very difficult to get money to work towards that. I'm sorry to hear that, Dora Yahoo Bendora. Sorry to hear that. So Peace GZZ says, do you have any resources on how Black and white Indians, I think you said white, that's what you mean by W is white Indians got their last names? Yes, there's tons of research on there. You want to know if I have any? Sure, I do. I read up on it some time ago, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. But then I had to concentrate on a particular subject matter, and Israelite culture within this ancient Near Eastern context is what I specialize in. All right. Oh, you said Black and West Indians. Oh, okay. Yes, we know where they got their names from. There's tons of books. Matter of fact, if you go to our Patreon, just type in slavery. I have tons of books that touch on that as well. You know, most of them, they got their names. You know, sometimes they received their names when they got on the slave ship. Sometimes they received it when they went to whoever the master was, because the name was a title to keep track of ownership of who owned the actual slave themselves. So that's where a lot of that came from. You know, sometimes they had names that they kept when they got on the ship. So if you go to slavevoyagers.org and you look up their database, a lot of the names that you see there are names that are indigenous to the regions of the West Coast of Africa, right? Names that are indigenous to that region. So a lot of times when they were as you know, cargo placed onto the ships, they pretty much got their names or made a name or gave a name to them. But the last name element didn't come into place until after they were discharged from the ship and given to the auction blocks to go to their whoever their slave master was, you know, their first and last name. Now, some slaves maintained their ethnic name over generations, but most of them lost it. However, there's different cultures of slavery in the West Indies as opposed to mainland America. Two totally different experiences. All right. Are there any, says, are there any books you'd recommend on Israelites that settled in Trinidad and or Barbados? Yes. So you have to study the slave trade in those regions and who was in control of those areas. and which slaves they brought over there from which ports. Again, I have a book on that as well. It tells you where all the slaves were taken into each island, their origin, their ethnic origin to each island it was placed on in the West Indies or the Caribbean. So if you want that, you got to email me. I'll send you a couple of books on that. You can read it up yourself. Okay. Has there ever been a time in ancient times where so many of our people's theology have been at odds? I don't know what you mean by that, Luke 12:51. You mean at odds? When you said theology at odds, what do you mean by that? Jacolia's Gem says, do you think that those of us more into West African spiritualism of the Old Testament tend to be henotheistic more, or is that too broad of an assessment? No, you're spot on. So I see, ancient pre-Israelite culture is a African traditional spiritual system, right? The problem is when religion crept in, it turned it into what we call religion, or colonization came in, or when Gentiles came in, they turned it into something other than what it was, right? And when it went into exile, became a full-blown religion, etc. But prior to that, this is why I did a whole lecture in 2008, where I kind of broke that down. So if you look at it from its indigenous perspective, it lines up almost point for point for practices along the west coast of Africa. That's why it was so easy for them to migrate and settle in those regions and get accustomed to the ways of those areas, because there was things that they were already practicing, right? So the reason why henotheism makes a showing is because when you read the grammar, the Hebrew grammar in the text, henotheism is all throughout the text. There's no way around it. Monotheism did not start to be formed. Actually, monotheism started to become a reality when you had the reforms of Hezekiah and the reforms of Josiah, the royal court scribes, and the prophets who supported some of these righteous kings. They was putting emphasis on just the focus on Yah, right? And Yah alone. However, there was still no neglect of other entities and deities that existed ontologically outside of the Most High Yah, right? So understanding that the divine council is you have a created deity that's at the head and lesser deities that come from that created deity, and they all rule some aspect of life, reality, territories, etc. All of that's West African in nature. All of that is African in nature. All of that is indigenous in nature. So it's not even exclusive to the continent of Africa. However, most Christians today and Jews today and Muslims today don't subscribe to henotheism, right? They don't subscribe to that. You know what I'm saying? So shalom to Sister Honey Badger 101 in the building. Shalom, Lisa Anderson. Shalom, Royal Gem. Shalom, sis. McGarvey Chapron says, what's your thought on the Haitian state of affairs? Y'all know. Just looking at that, something's extremely fishy. And again, this has been going on with Haiti for a long time. You know what I'm saying? The powers that be do not like that island. The spirit on that island of rebellion and perseverance through the struggle and opposition and oppression. I mean, it's somebody needs to write a book on the history and life of Haiti from the time that it was colonized until now. You know, the people that was placed over there from West Africa, I mean, those are some strong people, man. You know, and there's a lot going on in Haiti, and it's not just Judeo-Christianity that's there. There's also other ethnic, I would say ethnic religions, where they religions or spiritual systems, where they're invoking the Loa over there. A lot of people descend from the Fan and Fa peoples that are there in Haiti. Benin, right, where we get Voodoo, and then later on Voodoo and Hoodoo and other variants like Santeria, etc. You know what I'm saying? All of that is based on the peoples that were brought over there. Matter of fact, the people who say the kingdom of Ouida is the kingdom of Judah, which I don't agree with that. But those individuals, their spiritual system, they were practicing what would be considered witchcraft. That's what they was practicing when they got picked up. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of spiritual strength amongst the peoples that were brought over there that is very difficult to break. So they try to find other ways to destroy those people, whether it's by natural disasters, because you can manipulate natural disasters now, whether it's destroying their economy because Haiti is one of the poorest countries in the West, all right, or by assassinating somebody's president and creating anarchy. You know what I'm saying? This stuff is not happening by chance or coincidence, right? The powers that be know exactly how they're targeting Haiti and why they're targeting Haiti, right? So that's my perspective on that. Now, if you want to hear me divulge more on that subject matter, you got to sign up for the Patreon and check out our Let's Talk About It series, which will be airing soon, right? Right now, I'm getting a fitted cap made because that show, I'm going to be more dressed down. I'm going to have a t-shirt. I'm going to have a fitted on and be more informal and laid back because I'm giving you my personal opinion. And the things that I share in there is not exactly the same perspective that's shared, collectively in KHM, or the stuff that I say here. I'm giving you more of my personal opinion on that show. So that can stem from my Israelite culture. It can stem from my life experiences. It can stem from any conspiracy theories that I may subscribe to or whatever the case may be. I'm just unfiltered and I just spill it all out on that show. Here, it's a little bit different. I have to be a little bit more formal, a little bit more professional, a little bit more exact in regards to the things that I say. But on that show, I can say whatever I want. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Ascent of Phoenix. Shalom to you as well. Tone 76, random question tonight. If so, I don't know. You said, if so, when was the oral Torah first written down? Maybe a follow-up question. The oral Torah, according to scholars, was first written down in about the 9th century BCE. Oh, I'm sorry. You said the oral Torah. I'm thinking about the written Torah. The oral Torah was laid down officially by means of what we call the Mishnah, right? The various rulings on various things that were occurring in the land of Israel that was ruled based on halakhic law. And then that was preserved in what we call the Mishnah today, right? That would be your oral Torah. So that was completed in about 200 CE. All right. And the Talmud, which includes the Gemara and other appendixes and additions, was completed in about 500 CE. All right. So hopefully that answers that question. Shout out to Peace G's. Said, just sign up for the Patreon. Thank you. No problem. My brother, we have 200 and almost 30 books on the Patreon. We have over 25 articles on the Patreon. We have, mixtapes you can access at no cost, language courses. We have access to Bible study software, to Accordance, to Logos on there, cash giveaways that we do on there from time to time, other giveaways we do on there from time to time, exclusive content that I don't have anywhere else is on there. We have 2 new shows, The Depth to Dogma, which you see here on my shirt. You're probably looking like, yo, Divine's wearing a cross on his shirt. Yeah, look at it. It's a tombstone. Hold on. Let me move this out the way. It's a tombstone. See that? Depth to Dogma. All right. So that series is on there, etc. Doroyahu Bendora, thank you for the donation. He says, I'm writing a work on Second Temple history from Babylonian exile to 70 AD. I have found some sources on the Babylon exile. Do you have some? And can I send you my manuscript for per review and edit before I put it in book form? Of course you can, my brother. Yes, I have sources. I'll share everything that I have with you, because if you're doing that work, I want to thoroughly support it. And when you have it complete, you are always welcome to come and have a feature on this channel at no cost. I want to support whatever endeavors you're doing because I believe in your scholarship. I know me and you've talked several times. We have things we agree on, things we disagree on. But at the end of the day, my brother, I respect your scholarship. So of course, my brother. All right. So HaKodesh management, there are, 2 Talmuds, right? There was one that was written and compiled in Jerusalem, and there was one that was written and compiled in Babylon. Okay. The one in Jerusalem is the one that a lot of people criticize a lot, and they confuse it with what was written in the Babylonian Talmud. They're 2 different Talmuds. They share the same Mishnah. Their Gemaras is different, and the other additive commentary are different, but their Mishnahs are shared the same. Everything else outside of the Mishnah, it varies between the Jerusalem Talmud and the Babylonian Talmud, and they're broken down in tractates. All right. So yeah, there are 2 different ones and written to 2 different audiences based on what was going on at the time. All right. Ramal Yahoo, the Natsarim, says, Shalom, I have an important question. Was Christopher Columbus a Yahudi? No, definitely not. But did he have Jews around him? Yes, he did. But he definitely was not a Yehudi. And did he have other Yehudi on the slave ship to translate Portuguese for him and his ancestors? According to firsthand accounts, that was the case, that he did have people that can speak those languages with him, because they did believe that Azareth, what we call Azaroth, what some people say is where, you know, where the 1210 tribes came to, that's when they believed they were going to. Christopher Columbus believed that that was the land that they were going to, right? So he did bring somebody that can speak the language with him. So when he got there, they can translate stuff. All right. Jordan's Cadet says, break our minds tonight. No, I'm not going to do that tonight. That's what Freestyle Friday is for. Shout out to Ernest Higgs in the building. Shalom. RWSMTH. Shalom. Let me see. Did I get everybody's question? The Minority Report on YouTube had a very informative segment on that assassination. Are you talking about the Minority Report, the movie? Is that what you're referring to? If so, let me know. McGarvey Chapron, have you heard of prophecy about a king and a holy government being put in place on Haiti? No, I've not heard of that. And you're absolutely correct, sis, Jacolia. They do. And again, people need to study this, because a lot of the practices you see in voodoo is actually also, you see it in the old, what's called the Old Testament, or the Pentateuch, or the Torah. A lot of it is there. A lot of it is there. A lot of people don't realize that, but I might do a different session where I talk about that, because I think that's important. Shout out to Sister V Love in the building. Shalom. Wide Awake said, it is Friday, so start the freestyle. Shout out to JH125. Yo, I'm telling you, look, I've been trying for the longest to get these Christians that be talking trash and that be banging on me in here for a dialogue. I just had this dude. He just made a comment on one of my videos. Actually, he commented on the video that I did, that I posted up with what's his name? The evangelist. I forget his name. I don't know why I'm thinking about Benny Hinn. Definitely not Benny Hinn. Billy Graham. And he was like, what? Yeah, Billy Graham don't agree that they're white, but he don't agree that they're black either. He agreed that they look. See, that's the problem with your channel. Your channel is so focused on skin color and racism. Like, what? This channel is focused on skin color and racism? I didn't get the memo. Because somebody sent me the memo that this channel is focused on skin color and racism. Shout out to Song of Judah in the building. Shalom, King. I didn't know that. I missed that memo. I missed it. All right. Live Judah says, Shalom, Aki. Are you affiliated with any ministries that perform baptisms? Yes, our HCA, our congregation out here, they do baptisms, King. And I've done some as well. So if you're looking for that, just let me know. And we'll see what we could do to accommodate you. But there's some ministry. So we were just recently in Raleigh, North Carolina. Had a great time out there, by the way. I posted one picture. I got to post a couple more pictures up. We had over almost 50 people show up, and we just started promoting it the week of, right? And I'm glad we did, because if we did it sooner, we would have had too many people show up there, right? But yes, there's a congregations out there in Raleigh, North Carolina, LAV, that do baptisms as well, right? We had one congregation that just joined KHM. And, you know, I'm not sure if they do baptisms, but I know their sister congregations that they connect with, they do baptism. So just let me know, right? Honey Badger 101 said, yes, I'm in Leviticus right now and read about the ritual. So there are similarities. Yes. So I had a series that I plan to do on YouTube at some point when I'm able to get more assistance. See, I need more graphic artists, and I need more video editors. If you know anybody out there that's a graphic artist or a video editor, tell them to email me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. We have paid gigs. If you also do promotional marketing, okay, we have paid roles. We have money reserved to pay people who are graphic artists, who are promotional marketers, and who are video editors. If you can do any one of these things, we have a budget that we can pay you to assist. So if somebody here has any of those skills, email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Or if you know somebody with those skills, and please give me somebody who's experienced, who's worked with other nonprofits and businesses, or who are just really, really talented, right? I don't just want some Joe Blow, Jane Doe, who just does it as a hobby and not seriously. But I need somebody who either has some kind of background into it, experience in it, went to school for it, and does it as a gig or role. We have money that we want to pay people to help us so we can get more content out there. But the series that I had planned for YouTube is called Back to Basics. And what we wanted to do is we want to go through all of the protocols, the unwritten laws, the day-to-day routine, the statute, laws, and commandments, piece by piece, and simplify it for the community so we know whether or not these things apply, if these things don't apply, where they came from, etc. Right? Like Death to Dogma really deals with Judeo-Christian dogmas and doctrines, and show how a lot of them have no basis in the actual text itself or the culture that the text is based off of, right? And we tell you this so those of you who kind of follow this stream of understanding know what to strain out or filter out of your consciousness as it pertains to engaging in Israelite culture, right? We get rid of the religion, we get you into the culture. Shout out to my brother Yahuda Israel in the building. Shalom. O'Shea White, what's going on? We will be in Houston soon. We're looking for one of the last 2 weekends in this month, either the 24th or the 31st. One of those weekends we will be in Houston, okay? Either in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we will be in Houston, family. And we got a lot of family in Houston, man. Sister Yvette Rivera says, Shalom, Avia V says, are there any congregations in Brooklyn, New York? Yes. Do I know them off the top of my head? No, but there's several congregations, actually good ones, that are in New York City. So if you're interested in that, Yvette, just email me, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com, and I'll forward you over that information, okay? But I will be in New York in August. We plan to be there next month. All right. So hopefully, sis, when we do our chapter launch, you can join us at the chapter launch and we can connect you with everybody else that's there. All right. JH125 says, DivineProspect, have you done a breakdown of fringes? Yes, I have. You can just type DivineProspect fringes in YouTube search and you'll see one of my live streams where I talk about fringes. I say that most people don't wear fringes correctly, even the ones that I have, interestingly enough. But fringes are supposed to look like garlands, the garlands that people put up during Christmas time. They look like that. And these were things that was used in ancient architecture in the past. But I mean, I guess I can go into that more another time. Shout out to Claudette Grizzle. Shalom. Yes, Claudette, we plan to be in the UK this year. I just hope it's by the end of September, because I do not want to be in the UK during winter time. I just don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? So we want to be in UK. That is our first international stop for KHM, because we have tons of people out there in the UK. So Wide Awake says, what about ministries you may know? I don't know anything in Louisville, Kentucky. I don't know anything in Louisville, Kentucky, my brother. So I apologize about that. I don't know anybody that's out there. All right. So Tone 76 says, here's my follow-up question. If the oral Torah was first written down in 200 CE, isn't it safe to say that Colossians 2:14 isn't referred to the oral Torah? Colossians 2:14 is referring to something. So the oral Torah, just because it was written down in 200 CE, because remember, they're trying to compile all of this and put it together before they are kicked out the land, okay? Did not mean it did not exist in a form. It did exist in a form, right? Even the Targum has its own oral Torah in it. You know what I mean? If you read the Targum, matter of fact, even a Septuagint preserves some oral Torah in it as well, right? In the places where it wildly varies from other manuscripts, like the Aleppo Codex, the Leningrad Codex, the Nash Papyrus that only has a chunk of one chapter of one book in the text, or the Samaritan Pentateuch, etc. So, and its variations is other manuscripts on top of that. So the oral Torah did exist during Shaul's time or Paul's time. It did exist. Right. So is it the same form that we see in 200 CE? We don't know, because we don't have one from the 1st century CE written. Right. We have allusions to something pre-existing the written oral Torah. And we know that is a good source to lean on. But the oral Torah did exist during that time. Matter of fact, I shared books with y'all on here comparing Yeshua's oral Torah or his halakha in comparison to the halakhic form that's used in the written Torah, written Talmud that we have today, or what we call the oral law that was preserved in a written form. So it did exist on Paul's time. Now you're talking about Colossians chapter 2, verse 14, and you're saying, is that talking against oral Torah as it pertains to feasts, as what you're talking about, meat offerings, drink offerings, let no man judge you as according to any day, etc. Is that what you're saying for us, Colossians chapter 2, verse 14? That word there for judge, krinos, in the Greek means to judge. Is that what you're referring to? Let me know. I'm assuming that's what you're referring to. Claudette Grizzle says exactly so we're going to be in London, close to Greater London, right? Because it's cheaper to get a venue and do our event in Greater London is in the city of London. So it'll be in Greater London. All right. And being that the British Isles is not a lot of square mileage, hopefully it'll be easy for people to actually concentrate and meet us there in Greater London. All right. That's what it's Claudette. And Claudette, if you're interested in assisting us, getting our UK chapter up and running and maybe helping us run some errands on the ground there and assist, we'd be more than happy to use your assistance. Please email us, Claudette Grizzle, at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com if you would like to assist. All right. Stephanie Joseph says, someone was telling me that saying hallelujah means hail Satan. Is there any truth to that? There's absolutely no truth to that. I addressed this on a previous live stream. There's no way you could parse out halal, right? And then you have the consonant in between, and you have lu, ya. There's no way that refers to hail Satan. How? I know people that say the same thing, and they say that it means hail Satan. It does not mean hail Satan. All right. It has nothing to do with Satan at all. Anybody that says that is eisegeting the text. You're reading something in the text that's not there based on some conspiracy theories. That's what it is. There's no truth to that at all. All right. Shalom, Yirmiyahu, Dawid ben Yochanan. I said shalom, Sefan Yahu, shalom chat. Yo, you putting my government out there? Let me stop. Shout out to the family out there, man. Did you have to get vaccinated to go to UK? JH125. I haven't been there, during this whole coronavirus thing, so I don't know if I need a shot or not. From what I've seen, it looks like I do need a vaccination, but hopefully in September things will improve and they won't make it so mandatory. So I won't know until maybe a month before we actually leave to go out there. And I'll give you all an update on that. All right. Seems like dogma can only be replaced, not erased. The 10 Commandments could be considered as convenient and healthy dogma. Yes, it can be. It can be, because that is something that was naturally developed by the culture. Typically, dogma is when an external entity places its own understanding on the culture of another group to co-opt it as a religion and then impose that religion on others. But the culture that develops its own statutes and ordinances of operations day to day, whether it's socially, culturally, economically, nationally, etc., that will be considered, if you want to call it a healthy dogma. It's not something that was pushed forth by a church per se, but that was something that was enforced nationally because it became part of their political system. They became a polity, and they took different aspects of their culture and they codified it into law, into national law, right? So if you want to look at it as dogma, it can be, but it was something that was utilized in order to establish their theocracy, what we call theocracy, right? So if they're subscribing these elements to the divine, then it's a different type of system as opposed to a church entity that believes it's speaking on behalf of the divine that it is thousands of years displaced from, right? But I understand your point, what you're saying, all right? So RWSMTH, do you have a preferred translation for the Mishnah and Talmud? Yeah, so I read the Mishnah. I enjoy reading the Mishnah. I learn from reading Mishnah. I do not like the Gemara. The Gemara is helpful, understanding a lot of the conversation that was going on as it pertains to certain text of the script, but personally, the Gemara to me is too conflated. It's too expanded. Sometimes it veers off and goes on tangents. It's just a lot going on in the Gemara, right? So I really just hone in on the Mishnah. I have 3 good translations of the Mishnah. If you're interested in, I can share that with you. The Gemara, I've read some of it, but I'm not a master in that. The Mishnah, I read almost all of it. The Gemara, I haven't read all of it, right? I just prefer the Mishnah. I don't really care for the commentary. That's just me. All right. So shout out to Giovanni Roche. Thank you for the donation, my brother. I appreciate that. My thoughts on the Zohar. I don't subscribe to the Zohar at all. I'm not going to say the Zohar is trash, is garbage, throw it out. I'm not going to say that. There is some value to the Zohar, but that's what's called Jewish mysticism, right? I don't subscribe to Jewish mysticism. The Zohar is also where we get a lot of the preserved principles of Kabbalah comes from the Zohar. Again, that's not my cup of tea. I don't subscribe to it. Am I familiar with it? Yes. Can I have a whole discussion on it? Yes. I had a previous live stream where I was just spitting out gems from the Zohar. You know what I'm saying? But that's not my thing. It's too abstract for me, right? That's how I feel. It's too abstract for me. But the Zohar is where we get a lot of different doctrines, like the serpent seed doctrine, that Cain, lied with Eve and produced, the serpent lied with Eve and produced Cain. Well, that sounds good, but when you go into the Hebrew in Genesis chapter 4, verse 1, it doesn't allow for that. The Hebrew grammar doesn't allow for that. We have the direct object marker in there, right? And we're able to look at the syntax that's within the clause to determine how the various constituents or components of the grammar fit together. And there's a direct action between the nominative, which is the subject, the accusative, which is the object, and the actual action that's taking place. There's no room in there for some kind of serpent to produce Cain. It's not there. You can't fit it in there. You can opinion it, be very opinionated on what you think may have happened outside of what the grammar is saying, but you can't get around the grammar. You can't get around with it in the Septuagint. You can't get around it in the Samaritan Pentateuch. You can't get around it in the Targum. You just can't get around it. So the Zohar is very late writing. It may preserve some mysticism from earlier centuries, but it's a very late writing, and it's an opinion on the actual Hebrew text. So it's very late in its interpretation, and the Hebrew grammar does not allow for it. Anybody that brings that up will have to show me, how can you get the serpent and Eve lying together and producing Cain from the grammar of the Hebrew in Genesis 4:1? You can't fit it in there. It doesn't work. Zephaniah Yisrael said, is the book of Enoch valid? Well, there's parts of it that are antiquated and parts of it that was written much later. The book of Enoch was oral tradition that has gone back hundreds, almost 1,000, 2,000 years, that was finally penned down during the time of the Grecian captivity, right? So yes, there are parts of it that I believe are authentic and can be antiquated, but there are parts of it that was written specifically for that time period and the ideology of the people at that time. All right. There Yahoo Bendora, thank you for the donation. My brother said, thanks. I will send it when I'm done with the pre-draft. I value the tangible work and scholarship that you are doing. Project to horrors and it works. Awesome, my brother. Okay, no problem. All right. Claudette, no vaccine. To enter UK, just self-test and additional charges for the length. Yeah, so I'll get a test before we go to UK. We're going to do that. Me and whoever we go with. We'll get our test before we go to UK. I'm trying to avoid vaccination at all costs. But thank you so much for that, Claudette. Claudette, please email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. We could use your assistance. I know there's another brother that we're in touch with out there that's going to try to help us as well. But please, anybody that's in the UK, please help us out so we can make this a smooth, seamless transition from here to the UK and back. I look forward to going to the UK. I want to go to the British Museum as well, and just go in. I want to do some curation type of work there. And then I want to go to Speaker's Corner and go in. That's what we plan. When we go to the UK, we turn it up. All right. We're not playing no games. We're not pulling no punches when it comes to the UK. We're not playing no games. All right. Okay. So Yirmiyahu David Ben Yochanan said, thoughts on Midrash. Midrash is cool, but who's Midrash? Like, I perform Midrash when I read the text, right? Midrash simply means the seeking out of something, right? You're trying to seek out the intention of the text in various forms, right? all the way from your earliest forms, your darash, all the way to your sud level of understanding, right? These are the type of midrash that's performed. Yeshua bar Yosef performed midrash in Matayahu chapter 5. People think, oh, he's changing the law. No, he's not changing the law. He's performing midrash. See, the people that say that are people who don't know what midrash is. If you know what midrash is, you can tell guess what he's doing. But I digress. Hold on one second, family. All right. Sure. That's solely up to him. I gotta see if he's willing. If so, then yeah, I have no problem with that, Yahoo. And thanks again for the donation. Yeah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap for the UK, man. It's a wrap. All right. Giovanni Rose said, "You sure you're ready for the speaker's corner?" Of course I'm ready. That's light work. That's light work. Yes, it's light work, man. Oh, okay. Yeah, no doubt. Giovanni, email me whatever you have. kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Email me whatever you have, and we'll go from there. Okay. Just email me whatever you got. All right. So Yehuda Israel says Shalom Ma'ak was Yeshua an avatar of Yahuwah. Yeshua was not an avatar. I mean, it depends on what kind of sense. Avatar is a representation of something. So, I mean, that's like saying, are we avatars of Yod He Wav He? Yod He Wav He. Yod He Wav He. Nah, I'm saying it depends on how you're defining avatar. But I say that Yod He Wav He is an avatar of El. That's my position. You know what I'm saying? So Psalm 51 says, when you're going to pass through the UK, we're aiming for September. No later than September. Again, I don't want to get there when it's freezing cold. All right. That's when we plan to be there. But we're gonna set it ablaze. So even if it is cold, we're gonna turn the fire up. So it's gonna be a wrap when we get there. All right. So RWSMTH as a proponent of biblical Hebrew, I would like your opinion on Hebrew Bible of the entire Old and New Testament Bible from the Bible Society of Israel. Okay, send it my way, and I'll take a look at it. No problem. Send it my way. Email kingdomharbinger@gmail.com is going across the screen at the bottom. All right. So there are Yahoo Bendora. Sure. If he doesn't mind coming, it's been a while since I spoke to that brother. It's been a while. You know, I featured a couple of times on his show years ago. But yeah, I'll reach out to him if he's there. Then to come and have a discussion. I have no problem. All right. Claudette says Speaker's Corner ain't no problem. September is good. You're right. Definitely. Zephaniah Israel said, what's the difference between Yiddish and Hebrew? So you have different types of Hebrew. Are you talking about Iron Age inscriptional Hebrew, which is one form of Hebrew, classical or biblical Hebrew, modern Hebrew, and then Hebrew has different dialects within Hebrew itself, right? Different vocalization systems. You have the Babylonian vocalization system, Palestinian vocalization system. You got the Tiberian vocalization system. Then you have other pronunciation systems from different groups of Jews, right? Your Sephardic, your Ashkenazi, your Mizrahadi, your Yemenite. So, but all of these are a form of Hebrew. Now, Hebrew is a West Semitic language, okay? Yiddish is a West Germanic language that uses Hebrew characters, or we say letters, in order to write its oral component. So the oral component is written using Hebrew characters, just like English being a West Germanic language. Did you know that the West Germanic tribes that came into Europe, that they didn't have a writing system? They didn't have a writing system. You know what they used for their writing system? Latin characters. So does that make English Latin? No, it does not. They're two different language families. You can transliterate anything from one language to another language. So Yiddish is a Germanic language that uses, and in Ashkenazic or the Ashkenazim, they use Yiddish because the offset of them coming from East Europe, right? They spoke, a Germanic language there, right? In East Europe. So one of those things that they picked up, what we call Yiddish, which is the dialect of their East Germanic language, when you see those individuals intertwined with their what we call Jewish, culture, now what they did was they just took their Germanic language, right, particular dialect, and use Hebrew characters to reflect that language. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with biblical Hebrew, classical Hebrew, inscriptional Hebrew, and it's even different from modern Hebrew. However, some of modern Hebrew is influenced by Yiddish, right? Influenced by a later version of Hebrew, because it's a reconstruction of an older Hebrew, right? So modern Hebrew is a entirely different animal on its own, but it in itself is separate from Yiddish, just like Yiddish is separate from biblical or classical Hebrew, and how biblical and classical Hebrew has an early, mid, and late form. And then you also have inscriptional Hebrew, which predates biblical classical Hebrew. There's an excellent book that's written on this. I shared it on the Patreon if you're interested in learning on the development of the Hebrew language. But Yiddish has nothing to do with biblical Hebrew. It's two different things. It's not the same thing. Matter of fact, there were some brothers that were saying that I was speaking Yiddish because I was speaking biblical Hebrew, utilizing what's called the Tiberian vocalization system that was preserved by the Masoretes. Okay, the family of scribe Ben Asher and the Masoretes, they preserved that vocalization system from Tiberius because that's where those scribes settled at. After all the things that was going on in Jerusalem, the scribal family settled in Tiberias, and there was a particular way that people spoke in Tiberias and a particular way that they spoke Hebrew there, and eventually that became what was preserved in our Masoretic text. And what represents our Masoretic text is the Aleppo Codex and the Leningrad Codex and other codexes, because it became the majority text type, and it became the form that was the most widely distributed during its time, during the what we call the medieval ages, or the Middle Ages going into the medieval age period. So we're talking about anywhere from 700 CE all the way to about 1100 CE. Leningrad Codex goes about 1000 CE, right? So that's where that sits in at. But Yiddish has nothing to do with biblical Hebrew at all. They're two different languages. Just because they both use the same character system does not make them the same language. If I was so, and again, I was saying this, there were some brothers that were saying, "Yeah, you speaking Yiddish?" I said, "What?" So you know what I did? I wrote a whole sentence out in Yiddish. And I said, "Joe, can you read that for me in whatever Hebrew you speak?" I think they spoke the Lashawan Kadash. Can you read that for me? Yo, it messed them up. You know why? Because the morphology, I don't even know if they recognize the morphology. The morphology is how something looks, right? Syntax is how something is formed, and phonology is how something is spoken. They messed themselves up because they had no clue what was going on. They had no clue what was going on. I was trying to figure, hey, can you pronounce that? And with the Lashwan Kadash, you just throw A's everywhere. Unless until you get to Ayin. When you get to Ayin, then it's an I, conveniently. I don't know. It's just an I. Who made that rule that, okay, to distinguish from, these consonants that don't have an intrinsic linguistical value of its own, where you attribute what we call a diacritic mark to it so we can understand what kind of phonetic value to give to it, unless you're looking at matres lecciones, matres, mother lecciones rendering. an earlier rendering. So you also have defective writing in biblical Hebrew. Defective writing is a short form way of writing something. Now, I wish I had maybe I could write this down for y'all so you can see what I'm talking about. I wish I had my board still up. I gotta get another board. But the point I'm trying to make is that I probably could say it. So like the word Moshe, right? Moshe, before we see it in its defective writing form, you can see an earlier form of it in the Dead Sea Scrolls, was written Mem Wav Shin. But if you look at it in a later form, it's Mem Shin. Why? Because defective writing removes the Wav, and the Wav has the Cholam on top of it, which gives you the O sound, and it moves that O and it puts that on top of our Shin. You get Moshe, right? So again, when you start learning the language, you see these nuances, and you hear people come and they say some wild stuff. You're like, sounds good in theory, but in actuality, it doesn't really play out that way. I just think it's important for people to see that. Radiant One says, hi, Divine. This is Jody Ann, Leah Rose's mom. Hey, shalom. From the Raleigh chapter meetup. She's the 9-year-old who asks a few questions. I hope you. Oh, yeah, I remember you, sis. Shalom. Thank you for joining us. Your daughter is intelligent. I have the video up. So if y'all don't know what the sister's referring to, Jody Ann, you can go back to the video I put up. So I put the video for the KHM Raleigh chapter launch presentation. And the little girl that you hear in there, that brilliant little girl, is her daughter. So no problem. Anytime my brother RWSMTH, we have to do these breakdowns all the time. I try to be as meticulous as possible without losing the audience, because sometimes, y'all know, I can get very technical, and I have to just be mindful that I'm talking to a general audience. Our audience ranges from 4-year-olds all the way to 90-something-year-olds, right? And everybody else in between, from all walks of life that are coming into this walk. So a lot of times when I talk, sometimes I let stuff flow, but also got to reel myself back. But I'm a bibliophile. I like to read a lot. As y'all can tell, I shared almost 250 books on the Patreon, and I have more. I have thousands of books, PDF form and physical form, and I just share it with y'all because I want y'all to read. I want y'all to be interested in reading, and there's nothing wrong with reading, you know. And if you have a great relationship with Yah, you should not be afraid of whatever you read. You know, sometimes the problem is people read some weird stuff, don't know how to vet it, and therefore they begin drifting off into some other astral plane, and we can't find them no more. It's like, yo, you were just here in reality. Now you're in the astral realm. It's like, okay. You know what I'm saying? And even looking to see astral projection is very interesting when you study astral projection. I think I'll wait on that. I'll wait till somebody wants to debate me on that. Because, you know, there's a lot of people out here that talk about astral projection and all of that. So I'll just wait. But, you know, astral projection, depending upon how you define it, a form of it occurred whenever a prophet was, seeing a vision. You know, he was taken up. An astral form of him was taken up into another realm, and he was shown things, you know, while the body was still physically where it was at. You know what I'm saying? And this wasn't just unique for Israelite culture. I have a whole book I put on Patreon about prophecy in the ancient Near East. Very phenomenal when you learn about prophecy and the different forms of prophecy. It's very fascinating when you study this stuff. The realness, yes, we will. I was just talking to Dr. Noraya. Her and me were the ones running the chapter, but she had to step away for a moment. So did I. So right now we're working on putting a new director in place for the ATL chapter of KHM so we can keep activities and things going, right? We would like to meet up several times before the summer is over. All right. Why our people aren't teaching on us casting lots? I believe we should still be casting lots because they're spooky. That's why. You know, y'all seen several discussions I had with people on here in regards to casting lots. And some people said, that's the works of the dead. I'm like, what? What you mean? Casting lots was done even in the New Testament. Acts chapter 1, they casted lots after they prayed. There's nothing wrong with casting lots. Matter of fact, the scripture says that casting lots can settle differences between friends. It can, because it is a decision independent of my feelings, what I think and what I want, and independent of your feelings, what you think and when you want. It allows things to be very fair. So yes, we should reinstitute casting lots, and I did a whole video on it. You can check it out. All right. So JH125 said, do you have any scholastic books on how Amalek converted or supplanted us during various time periods? Yes, I have a couple of books that speak on that, on Edom, on Amalek, etc. I mean, if you want to read them, that's fine. I can send it to you. Radiant One, yes, we have an email address. It's going across the screen, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. That is our public email address. All right. Santa Phoenix says, do you want to play rock, paper, scissors? What? Radiant One says, is the master's program in theology religion? Yes, the master's program is in theology. Or you can get a master's in ministry if you're interested in starting your own congregation. And if you go to the website, Hebraic-Institute.org, I think it is, you'll see all the details for that. All right. Okay. JH125, it's a combination of that and other things. That's my perspective on that. Okay. All right, y'all. I'm going to be on here maybe another 15 minutes, and then I'm getting off. There are some reading material. Again, the one thing about, and I'm going to say this like I say it all the time, I'm not here to spoon feed you. Okay. If you want to be spoon fed, go find one of these YouTube personality mores and let them spoon feed you. That's not what we're here to do, right? What we're here to do is teach you how to study for yourself. We have what's called the KHM Holistic Research Paradigm for Bible Study. You can utilize this method if you're Tanakh only, if you're Torah only, if you deal with the Torah in an abstract realm, if you're dealing with the New Testament, Brit Hadashah, whatever it is, this approach will allow you to get a more concrete foundation of where the text emanates from before you can dive off into interpretation, right? So we give you the methods, the tools, and the resources, and we show you how to utilize these things to come to your own conclusion based on filtering out all of the dogma from people's interpretations that have a heavy influence on what we believe today. Right. So we want you to learn it the way it was intended to learn. OK, and I try to push you in the area of other authors and academia that do it. Now, technically, because I have a degree, I am obligated to put out more and more material, meaning books and articles. So, you know, I want to get this year out the way. 2022 is going to be the year that I write a lot of stuff. So I may disappear for like 2 to 4 months because I'm just writing books and articles. Right. So when I say disappear, I mean, you're still going to see me. Just like this year, I haven't been as active as last year because a lot of things are coming up. But it's because I'm trying to branch away from just being a YouTube personality. Not that I've always just been a YouTube personality. I mean, if you go and look at the channel, I've done tons of work over the years. But what I'm saying is there's a lot more that needs to be done in the community. And if I just stay here all the time and do countless YouTube videos and just teach all the time, there will never be an opportunity for me to actually do the work behind the scenes so I can enable opportunities for our people, right? Radiant One, yeah, I mean, you can, we have tons of things that need to be done in the ministry, so we'd be more than happy to have you on board. You know, I don't know if you signed up for membership. If so, you would have received some details on that. But yeah, if you go to our app, you'll see tons of groups. You're welcome to join any group you like and contribute to all our groups there. You know what I'm saying? Jarrod Gibson. Yes, I agree. It is amazing. Now, what I do want to share, I want to share the source. So shout out to my brother, Genesis 49 is my brother Jashub. He brought something out recently in regards to a book that was produced called Hybrid Hate by Tudor Parfit. I learned about Tudor Parfit back in 2015. That's when I learned about Tudor Parfit and Edith Bruder. Matter of fact, I did a show. I did a guest appearance on Jashub's show where I put him on to the Loango Black Jews. Okay. And I shared that with him. And Genesis 49ers has been doing some excellent work scholastically and showcasing us having Israelite heritage. Okay. Excellent work they're doing over there. But I've been doing this as well since 2014. You know what I'm saying? Putting this information out. So the post that I posted on hybrid hate, the reason why I posted that post, now mind you, I don't subscribe to this term hybrid, but that's how they're identifying us in the realm of academia. Tudor Parfit is one of the leading experts in the realm of African Jewry. And it's not that he went to school for that. It just turned into that. You know what I'm saying? If you learn his how he got on that path to start studying the Lemba tribe, and then from there started studying all of African Jewry to put together an actual conference called the International Society for the Study of African Jewry. That their objective is to look at all these Judaizing African groups to see if there's any authenticity to their claims, right? But Tudor Parfit has always admitted historically that Jews were all throughout West Africa, whether they're migrating from Portugal to West Africa or migrating from the East to West Africa. He's never denied historically that there was Jews that converge in West and Central Africa. And that book he created, Hybrid Hate, he goes even more detail in the Luango Jews. And I put the conclusion of what he was saying for that chapter in chapter 4, where he is confirming the authenticity of these Black Jews. What I've been proposing for the longest is what happened to these Black Jews and their communities in West Africa. How come we don't see a preservation of these groups after the transatlantic slave trade? Conveniently, they disappear, most of them, after the transatlantic slave trade. We only have a remnant of them that survive. Most of them are taken away in the transatlantic slave trade. Or I'm not going to say that. Let me rewind that, because if I speak as a doctor, I have to speak in a particular way. What I'm simply saying is, what is the connection between the Black Jews and their communities in West and Central Africa and the disappearance of a lot of these groups after the transatlantic slave trade? Is there a connection between the two? That's the important thing that we have to investigate, and the thing that people really don't have enough information to speak on. But that's the realm in which I'm operating in, that I'm working on, other brothers with me are working on, to showcase that data so we can take it into account and we can present it to these individuals. So the reason why I posted Hybrid Hate is because we simply have Tudor Parfit, who is an expert of African Jewry. He is saying that, yes, there were migrations of Jews from the Portugal region, and when they settled on the West Coast, they were called the Lusa Africans, and those from the East who migrated into West and Central Africa. There's Jew communities, what they call Jewish communities, or Black Jews, all throughout West and Central Africa, and he's admitted that. But the issue he has is authenticating any current, check it out, any current Jewish communities in West Africa as being authentic or having a lineage that goes back to those ancient, well, I can say ancient, but those Black Jewish communities that existed in West Africa. He says there's no connection. He says a lot of these groups now are just being Judaized, either by through conversion, because of the advent of the internet, or prior to that, like the Igbos, is because of their 3-year war, the Biafra war, that caused them to reach out to another group that was oppressed, that could share in their oppression, which were the Jews, because of what happened to them with Hitler and the Nazis in World War II, and be able to sympathize with them and to convert over to their religion and make a claim that, yes, we're the real Jews and all this other stuff, even though those type of claims have been purported prior to that. Aluda Equiano, prior to that. We have statues of people from the Ibibio tribe creating figurines of a Jew, saying that this is our ancestor. It's very interesting what's going on there. How do you explain that stuff? Is It's very interesting how it goes, how that goes on. But nonetheless, he has admitted historically that that's the case. But he does not agree that the groups that are here now are authentic, and he doesn't agree to a lot of the Judaizing movements in America today to be authentic. You know why? Because a lot of their claims are not based in the scholarly realm. But that's where me and several others, that's where we step in, and we fill in those blanks. All right. Facts, Yehuda Ben Yisrael. Actually, I have a book on it. Every time you hear me say something, I always have a book on it. You know why? Because, and this is why I don't like to talk about me having a degree, like a doctorate degree or whatever case may be, because everybody's going to scrutinize everything I say, and I have to have a valid source. Almost all my sources are people who are experts in academia. I would say 75 to 80% of them have a doctorate degree. There's some of them that have master's degree or double master's degree or whatever the case may be. But these are people who are experts in the field, who has made headway in the field. And a lot of the scholarship that I utilize are within the past 10 to 15 years, the earliest. When I did my dissertation, I would say almost 90% of the books that I reference are within the past 10 years, right? You need to have the latest and greatest. I remember I told you about the CRAP method of vetting sources, right? So now when I see sources that are admitting to the fact of things we've been saying for the longest, because people say, oh no, the Israelite group started with F.S. Cherry and it started here in America. What? I said, look, that's what you have. Like, yo, slow down. That's not what influenced me to think how I'm thinking today. Anybody can make any claim. The issue is not the assertion that's made, but the substantiation of the assertion and whether or not it can be verified to be a legit claim or not. Anybody can make up anything. I can say fairies exist in 2021. And then 100 years later, somebody proves that fairies actually do exist scientifically. Doesn't matter who made the claim. Is it true or not? Okay. All right. Jay Pittman, I started work on 3 books and they are not complete, but I have written several articles though, right? But I started work. Now my dissertation is going to actually be turned into a book. I'm trying to think of a name for it and stuff like that. But my dissertation will be turned into a book next year, but I have to complete those other 3 books. And that's why I'm looking for academic writers that can help me completing my books so I can pump out a lot of this information. It's kind of difficult running a ministry, working, having a family. For me to do all of this, it's a lot. So I would love people that doesn't mind writing. I can orate, they can write it, format it perfectly for me, get redactors, take a look at it, and push out books. Because if I had people to do that, I'd be putting out a book every couple of months. So much stuff I read, study, things I want to put out there. I would do that, but I need assistance. I need help on doing that, right? Have you done a breakdown on Aboriginal people? I hear this claim get reported a lot, but I wasn't privy to any books speaking on the topic. When you say Aboriginal to what region of the world? Talking about the Americas? Are you talking about other places of the world? When you say Aboriginal, what do you mean by that? Joseph Speed, I would love to if I can get some help. I would love to if I could get some help. But yes, I would love to do that. We started work on it. We got about 7% of it done over the 3.5 years that I was working on it with a couple of other people, but it's far from finished, and we're going to need some help with that. Radiant One says, oh, so you can, sis? That's excellent. If you love to write, please, we will even pay you to help. All right. Email me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. And we would love to hire you to help write a lot of this stuff and get a lot of this stuff out. I have no problem with that. Thank you for volunteering, sister. I appreciate it. All right. Hebrew for Life. Salute. All praise to the Most High, man. Do your thing as well, King. All right. JH125 says the Americas. Yes. I've done extensive studies on the Aborigines of the Americas, mainly because I went to the UN and I saw a presentation done on them. Back in 2016, one of those years. And I did even more research at that time. And I grabbed a lot of sources, some books. I actually went to a conference in, what was the conference? In Jersey? Was it Jersey? Connecticut. I don't know. It was some time ago. So when I was a Christian, a friend of mine was Native American, took me to some kind of conference they had right off of the reserve. And they were talking about their history and everything like that, put me in touch with Brown University. And I looked at a lot of material from Brown University and learned about the history of the natives of this land. So I learned a lot of that. Dash Sharab says, what African language is closest to Hebrew? I don't know. I can't answer that. You have what's called morphological and linguistic calques, CALQUES, from Hebrew and some West African languages like Igbo. But I don't know when you say closest. So what I've done in a study with Remy Ilona, him and a rabbi actually that he's in touch with, looking at the frequency of affiliation or frequency of affinity between Igbo and Hebrew, and how many authentic Hebrew words are found in Igbo language, right? And we found more so in there than almost any other West African language, West Central African language. However, those calques, so you have loan words, you have calques. So what's a calque? A calque is like quid pro quo. What does quid pro quo mean? I'm going to let y'all define it for me. So y'all should know this. And what does quid pro quo mean? I'm going to show you what a calque is. CALQUE. What's quid pro quo? Shout out to my brother Azazaya Ban Yahawada. Shalom. What's going on, King? Ewe and Bantu. They have Hebrew words in them, but I don't think the affinity is very high. Bantu is not one particular language. It's a language family that encompasses various heterogeneous ethnic groups. All right. But Ewe does have some, what we say, Hebrew words in it from what I learned. But the frequency is not high. Okay. Chris Bronson, did you really just say pay for play, bro? Quid pro quo is like favor for favor. Quid pro quo, favor for favor, right? That is what's called a calque. That is coming from one language to another language, right? So quid pro quo is something that we say colloquially in our English language, but it's not English, right? It comes from Latin. However, we have an associated word or idiom for quid pro quo, which is favor for favor. Now, if I said to you favor for favor, you would look at that and say, oh, yeah, I know that's English. No. That is a calque, because that concept or that idea of favor for favor comes from quid pro quo, which is the same from another culture. But it ended up in English. English created its own variation of it, and then it became part of the colloquial language. We find a lot of calques in Igbo from Hebrew. And that is the study that I was working with Remy Ilona and the two rabbis that he was working with in creating that work. I told him, yo, Harry, put this book out. Let me review it so I can give my input. I can even do a forwarding if you wanted me to, do a preface if you wanted me to, or write something in the appendix if you wanted to put that out, because that is groundbreaking work. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of what I specialize in learning in regards to the West African affinity towards Israelite culture is with the Igbo. Dasha Rob, no problem. Hold on one second. Let me drink some water. So Gary Anthony Harriot said, Yah bless morning, K-Champ. Are the native Indians equal Israelites? Not all of them, no. Some of them make that claim. Some cases can be made, but are the majority of them Israelites? No. Do certain tribes who make the claim have any authentic backing from it? A case can be made. Yeah, especially when we look at haplogroup X over here in the Americas. and the ethnic groups of the Aborigines that are here that have the haplogroup X genotype. Some of them can make claims to that. The haplo X genotype is mostly found in the region of Levant, but we also have discovered it here in the Americas. That's very fascinating because they didn't go the Bering Strait direction. It came from some other way and ended up there in the Americas. So those ethnic groups that have haplogroup X can make the case that they're from what we call the Middle East. And that case has been made for some time, right? Hebrew for Life says, bro, can you speak on Leviticus 19:19 and Deuteronomy 22:11 real quick? Do these scriptures really mean they condemn wearing mixed fabrics? Yes, they do. And the reasoning is why. So we live in a different society today. So this is when the Israelites were in their sovereignty, that they had control over the manufacturing of products and goods within their community. Today, we don't have that autonomy no more. But KHM is working towards that type of autonomy. Nonetheless, there's a reason why they did not mix the fabrics, just like the same reason why they did not mix seeds in the same field. You plot out a certain portion of field and only plant seeds, just like me. If I'm planting, I'm only going to put X amount in a particular area, and then I'm going to create a separate substrate to plant other ones in there. I don't want to mix them together, sow them together. All right. Now, if you look behind me, you see that thing right there behind me? That's red cells lettuce. Look at all that red cells lettuce right there. That's called loose head lettuce. That's growing right out of there. I took about 40 days to get to that point. All right. So next to it, I have mint. And next to that, next to it, I have basil. Next to it, I have mint. But they're all in separate pods. They're not mixed together. Okay. But anyway, I also did a video. You'll see it on the channel where I show you my harvest set, which is separate from my sprout set. And the harvest set, I have salad greens. I have black seeded Simpson. I have what else? I have dill over there, parsley over there. I have Paris Island lettuce, all of that over there, right? So you shouldn't mix fabrics because of what the fabrics represented, and mixed fabrics does not give you the effect that you need if you're wearing that type of clothing in that region, okay? There's a whole study on that, right? So it's not a sin. See, we got to get rid of this word sin. It's not a sin. All right. I try to wear fabrics that are not mixed. I look for 100% cotton, 100% this, 100% that. But remember, they didn't have synthetic. Listen, check it out. They did not have synthetic. The text is very specific on what fabrics not to mix. They didn't have synthetic fabrics back then. So they're not referring to a synthetic blend or a synthetic fabric. Okay. Let's get the scripture. Let's get the scripture real quick. All right. Anytime, Gary Anthony Harriot, anytime. All right. Kohen Gadol. No, I did not read his entire book yet, but I will soon. And when I do, I will give my constructive criticism on it, or my critique on it. I'll say, yes, he got this right. Yes, I disagree with that. And then we'll go into it from there. All right. I'm glad he did it because it's stirring people up to get to their scholarship. And I've been trying to push this for a long time. All right. So let's get Vayikra chapter 19:19. All right. Leviticus 19:19. All right. Where it says, do not wear clothing woven of two kinds of material. Right. And then you get more detail when you go into Devarim chapter 22:11, where it says, do not wear clothes of wool and linen. That's all it's referring to. Wool and linen. Now, did other fabrics exist other than wool and linen? Yes. But wool and linen was the things that they used the most. It's telling you do not mix that. It has nothing to do with any synthetic fabric because it did not exist at that time. Okay? Did not exist at that time. So if you wear synthetic fabrics, you can. If you wear synthetic blend of fabrics, you can. But you cannot mix those two items, which is wool and linen. That's what it's referring to specifically. That's why you got to cross-reference scriptures and let the text interpret itself first before you interpret it yourself. Okay? Israel Lewis says, fabric's going to burn up on the day of judgment anyway. Plant-based and animal-based fabrics, yes. So, you know, animal Animal-based would be wool. Plant-based would be like flax-based fabrics. Yes, do not mix the two. That's what it's saying according to what they were using at that time. So if you can avoid linen and if you can avoid linen and wool today, or cotton, if you want to call it not cotton, excuse me. If you want to prevent mixing linen and wool today, that would be best practice, because that's something that's a cultural ethnic mark that sets you apart from everybody else. But remember, it is talking about two specific types of material, and we have plenty more that exist today. Okay. I understand. Cohen Gadol, you said, I don't agree with academia. I agree with research and study. Yes, academia has their own methods to researching and studying, but it's good to understand the methodology that academia uses so we can apply it to our studies, so we can have a more objective outcome of our research conclusion, right? We don't have to agree with their interpretation of things. However, we should oblige ourselves to use the same methodology and tools and resources so we can come about our own conclusions. That's my position on that. All right. Shout out to Gold Mine ENT. Shalom, shalom. BEC Home Care. Shalom. My brother Elephant Man Podcast Network. Shalom. I got the message. You want me to feature on your show on Tuesday, my brother? Holla at me and I'll see. I'll do my best to make it there, okay, on your show, so I can support your platform, my brother. All right. Did I miss anybody else? Elock 2020, shalom. Jay Piven, yes, I'm familiar with Dane Calloway, and no, I do not agree with him on those points. There's too much evidence that disproves that type of argument. He can make the Aboriginal argument without saying the transatlantic slave trade did not exist. You don't have to go that far, but some people just go that far for a shock treatment, right? Shout out to Jimmy Marshall. Shalom. Okay, so I'm gonna cut it off here. We did 1 hour and 30 minutes on this live. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Please, if you get a chance, please subscribe to the Patreon if you have not already, because a lot of questions you're asking can be solved in the articles, books, and exclusive content that I have on the Patreon. All right. Thank you to everybody who has donated in the super chat. We truly appreciate that. All right. Please make sure you go to the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Download the My One Church app. Download and install it. And when you open it up in the zip code field, type 30064 and click on the Kingdom Harbinger Ministries app. Join our groups. We have Bible sources, tools on there. You can see some of our lectures on there. Follow me on social media through there. You can sign into your Patreon through there, etc. If there's anything that we can help or assist with, email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. You can call us at 678-430-3832. Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have any questions, concerns, want to speak to me or somebody else on my team. Thank you, JSBS, for the super chat sticker. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So Kanisha Morgan, Shalom. I have been researching ancient Sumerian, and a lot of stuff from the Bible corresponds with their text. What do you know about the ancient Sumerians? I know tons about the ancient Sumerians. I've done extensive studies on there, and I've also followed professors and actually went to a conference back in 2015 on Sumeria, right? They had a virtual conference on it. So I'm familiar with the Sumerians. Are there some affinities between the ancient Sumerian culture and Israelite culture? Yes. Can you make any direct correlations? No, because a lot of what we learn about the Sumerian culture comes from Akkadian, which is an East Semitic language. That's the only way that we can show any affinities linguistically between Sumerian culture and Hebrew, because Sumerian is not a Semitic language. It is in a language isolate on its own. But yes, in the ancient Near East, there were concepts that were universal. They were not, no one culture had a monopoly on anything. They gave their own spin or variation of something, but you can't say that correlation equals causation, because these two cultures share something the same, that one culture came from the other. That is very difficult to prove. And for somebody to make that claim, it's an automatic fallacy. You have to demonstrate that. And that takes a lot of rigorous effort to do so. But yes, there are people who've come into pop culture like Zachariah Stitchin and Dr. Malachi Z. York, who make these comparisons between ancient Sumeria and the Bible. However, in the realm of academia, any expert that holds their weight according to their title of a PhD in ancient Near Eastern studies, whether it's language, culture, anthropology, they will tell you that these people are pseudo. And any comparison, like when people say that Anunnaki is the Elohim, like what? But yes, are there affinities? Of course there is. The Bible was not written in a vacuum. It was written within an ancient Near Eastern context. That's where Israelite culture emerged from. So you're going to have some similarities there, but you can't say that they plagiarized from ancient Sumeria or they took all this stuff from ancient Sumeria. That's not the case. If that's the case, everybody stole from everybody. You had trade that happened all the time where people brought concept ideas, items, material items from one place to another, and certain material items will have images on them, have words on them, and represent something, and then enter into the consciousness of another culture. That is called culturation by way of cultural diffusion, where you have elements from this culture going to this culture going to that culture. It's just something that was going on, or there was a common stream or river, like John H. Walton likes to say, a river of consciousness in the culture at that time that influenced various societies, and their scribes just wrote their own take on it, right? So there's no direct, exact correlation you can make between Sumeria and Israelite culture. You need the median or the middleman of Akkadian, East Semitic language to make linguistic associations, because Sumerian is its own. However, with the help of Akkadian, you can start to make those associations. But we have to be able to really understand. Leila Tov to you as well, my brother Yirmiyahu Dawid Ben Yochanan. Same to you. All right. Gary Anthony Harriet says, hearing you live for the first time, all praise to the Most High. We will be in the UK, Gary. We will be touching on UK if all works out according to plan sometime this year. We will be in the UK setting up our chapter. All right. That is our first international stop for setting up shop of KHM. We're going to the British Museum. We're going to Speaker's Corner. We're going to have our KHM chapter meeting, and whatever else we can do in the UK, we're going to do it while we're there. We're going to be in Greater London. And then we also want to go to London and to some other cities outside of that, and just explore, right? Do some research, talk to some people and stuff like that. But that's what we're looking to do. So same thing to you, JSBS. Again, we have at least 30 people from the UK that follow this channel consistently. And we want to see all of y'all when we go out there to the UK, man. We want to see all of y'all when we go out there. All right. Kevin Powell. Exactly. You know why? A lot of things that they borrow. First of all, so American culture is a hodgepodge of various European ethnic groups making their way over here. Okay. And during the Reformation period, prior to Reformation, the Age of Reason, when the Enlightenment period started, they went back to a lot of Greco-Roman works to use that as a basis to establish logical thought independent of the church system of their day. Okay. So that's why you see a lot of Greco-Roman influence that made its way to England, and then from England, the UK, and other European nations over here to the Americas. So you have the Portuguese, the Spaniards, the Dutch, the English, the French, all come over here and contribute something to what we get here. But a lot of it was influenced based on that Enlightenment period, right? That went back to Greco-Roman culture to establish a lot of things that were agnostic or atheistic in a sense, more in the realm of deism as opposed to theism, right? They believed that there was a grand architect of the universe, but he just was not involved with creation. He created it, he put it in motion, and left it up to man to control. A theist believes that after the deity did that, he personally gets involved with the creation. And then some other people also say that El himself created everything, but he only gets involved in particular points in creation's history as the avatar Yod-He Vav-He. All right. Thank you, Sister Kanisha. I appreciate that, sis. Game AM PME. Shalom to you, Emmanuel Curry. Shalom. Thank you so much, Hebrew for Life, for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Yes. Hey, sis, listen, y'all let me know. When I get there, y'all tell me where we need to go, And if we can make it there, we'll go there. Okay. We have no problem. Obadiah says, is there a P.O. box for mailing donation? Yes, there is. Obadiah, look down below in the description box of this video, and you'll see our P.O. box information there. Okay. So Minister Travis says, Brother Ron, I see a lot of Christian apologists mocking and attacking the claim of the Middle Passage people as being Israelites. Do you have any videos or material refuting their mockery? Well, I don't have one that refutes their claims point by point, but I have done a video showcasing the case that could be made that the people that were on these ships also have, keyword, also have a claim to Israelite heritage based on all the Black Jews in their community that was diversely spread it out all across the western coast and central coast of Africa, who just conveniently disappeared after the slave trade was over. They just disappeared. They just disappeared. Where did they go? Where did they go? So you gotta remember, when Islam was dominating, a lot of Jews became crypto Jews, which means they practice their Judaistic religion indoors, but outdoors they profess to be Muslim. So they can refrain themselves from being persecuted or given a heavy tribute. Okay. So yes, Minister Travis, I've spoken on this several times. I just brought up a source by Tudor Parfit called In Hybrid Hate, where he attests the fact that there was Black Jews all throughout the western central coast of Africa, more particularly in chapter 4 of Hybrid Hate. He focuses on Loango, and I brought that out about 2 years ago. I've been sharing that for 2 years now about the Loango Black Jews by means of Christian Oldendorf and his work in regards to those individuals, and all the criticisms he got, both pro and con, in regards to the claim that he got from a slave. And one of his detractors, or somebody who was antagonizing him, says, how can you get valid information from a slave? Very racist. But that's one of the people who criticized him. So, all right. All right, so I'm about to head out, family. Again, we have Freestyle Friday later on tonight, so I'll see you again there. You can ask some more questions there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you again for all your support. Please support the ministry as much as you can so we can continue to put out this type of information to empower the community by way of scholarship and by way of community works. All right, if you're interested in signing up for membership or joining our organization, you can get our app that's scrolling there at the bottom, or you can email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Thank you to all the new people that sign up for our Patreon, because we have tons of books. If you're a bibliophile, there's no shortage of books to read on our Patreon. There are articles, there are exclusive content that's my own that I only have there, nowhere else. We have other exclusive content, access to websites, language tools. We have Ugaritic, Syriac, Biblical Greek, Biblical Hebrew on there, etc. There's tons of stuff that we have on there that, I mean, it's going to take years for you to go through all of that. And by the time you go through some of it, you're going to keep adding more. So it's going to be very difficult for you to get through all of it, right? So thank you for your support. Hebrew for Life told me to get some rest, so I'm going to go ahead and get some rest. I love you guys. I'll see you later on tonight on our official Freestyle Friday. Hopefully you enjoyed this pop-up session. All right. And I'll see you guys again. All right. And to my UK family, I'll see y'all soon. We will be in Houston and New York before the end of the summer, y'all willing. And then after the summer, we will be in the UK. All right. So I'll see you there soon, family. Love y'all. Thank you for watching. Shout out to Peace Be Still. I see you, my brother Kevin Powell. I see you. Shalom. Yaakov Shaul. I see you. Shalom. Shalom. And thank you to everybody that supported, everybody has given, everybody that supported us. Please hit the thumbs up, share this video. And if you're brand new, hit subscribe. Go back and check out the archives. We have tons of content that I know you will enjoy and love. And it's friendly for the entire family to watch. All right. Shout out to the realist. I see you, Gary. I see you, Charles Houston. I see you. You may want to verify your Patreon link. It doesn't come up as valid. I know why that's the case, because let me put it here. And again, you should be able to see it on the screen scrolling across. All right. What you see there on the screen scrolling across is the Patreon itself. I'll drop the link in the chat so you can click on the link right there. Thank you for that, Charles Houston. And that's because they shortened the link when I go live, and it's already a pre-populated description. That's why. So sometimes I have to go back and edit that. But it's right there going across the screen. It just went across the screen, and I just dropped it right there in the chat as well if you want to click on it and support. But thank you for everybody that support the ministry. And please, like I said, we're looking for graphic artists, video editors, promotional marketers, and writers. If you're any one of those four or know somebody that has any of those skills and you want to make some money helping support this ministry so we can get to the four corners of the earth with this research and community work, please email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com and let's start working ASAP. All right. Love you, family. I'll see y'all later. Peace and shalom.